Welcome to the Ages of Rock podcast with your hosts Bill Algie, Dennis Talbot, and Alan Tate. We are three guys who have one thing in common, a love of rock and roll. Our goal is to talk about all things rock. We hope you find this show intriguing, funny, and occasionally highly opinionated. Enjoy! Welcome to the Ages of Rock podcast. This is episode 59. This week, my brother from another mother, Rockin Rob Bloomer, is going to join us because we're going to talk about Led Zeppelin. And he's the biggest Led Zeppelin fan that I know. Well, the second biggest. My buddy Benny's a Zeppelin fan too, but he don't want to be on the show. He's too rock star for us.
Wow.
Just
what
kidding.
A snob, man.
Just kidding.
Wow.
He's not. I'm just going to get myself in trouble with my friends. Before we get to the Led Zeppelin episode, though, Dennis is bringing back his Check Out My Guitar installment. So
yeah,
take it away,
actually,
Dennis.
Thank you, Al. I've got like two more to go. Actually, three more to go. But I'm going to go a little bit south this week. We're going to go with the four-stringer. Al might be more interested in this as far as we're going with, instead of six strings, we're going to go with four strings.
That's all you need.
Anyway, I actually bought this guitar about 4 years ago. I mean, I am a bass player / guitar player, and I was needing a nice bass. I went to look for a Rickenbacker 4001. I wanted one from since I saw Rush as a kid, and I ended up looking at those, and for some reason that day I just wasn't into it. But then I seen where Geddy Lee had put out a Fender Jazz bass with the Signature Series, but it's actually made in Japan. But even with that, I mean, it's got the badass bridge on the bottom, his signature pickups and everything. It is a really good bass. There's nothing wrong with it. And like I said, I just talked to a friend of mine who had a Fender, actually had the Rickenbacker 4001. And I just actually commented 2 nights ago saying, man, I said, I wanted one of those and I bought the Geddy Lee instead. He goes, I just traded that one for a Geddy Lee. So the newer version of it. So anyway, I still will get a Rickenbacker at some point. But for a bass, this is because my fingers are very short, but this neck here is at the very end of it. I mean, it is completely very, very thin. And I had it set up by Tim, of course, from Musicians Den in Evansville, and he had to actually take the neck off of it and do some adjustments. But once he got it set up, it was very good. So anyway, it's been a good bass. Anyway, I've got two basses, and that's the one that I use whenever I play out and play bass. So anyway,
when was the last time you played bass somewhere?
Last year I did a 3-night stint with a band called Retro Shock down at the casino down here at the boat. I had actually, they asked me if I was interested earlier in the year, and did some practicing with them and learned 45 songs on bass that I'd never played before, and did a 3-night stint with them, and it was really good. We did it was really fun for me because we did I Want to Kiss You All Over by Exile, which is one of my favorite songs. My band doesn't do that at all. And it's got a great bass line in it. And I'm all over that shit. Actually, I had a really good time that night. It's one of those things where it took me out of my element where I'm used to. And and actually that year I had actually went with another band and played in a blues band, filled in for 6 gigs with them because they lost their guitar player. So that was a busy year for me as far as being a guitar player in a rock band. I learned, 40 to 50 songs in blues, and then learned a bunch of songs that are kind of retro songs on bass. It was a fun year for me because all that stuff culminated at the end and actually made me a better player. I mean, just all around. But no, I did have a good time doing that. So
cool.
But anyway, that's my bass thing. It's one of those things where I can play bass in a band. It'll take me a couple weeks to get back motivated, get all the shit down, but it can be done. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
that was kind of like me when I sat in with your band that night when I was working on those songs up to that point. the first time I
Right.
picked up the bass, I hadn't played it in like 3 years, and my
Right.
hand was like, "Hey, dude, fuck off."
No, it's a different. I mean, the thing is my worst thing is being a guitar player. I want to play a bass like a guitar. I want to strum it. I want to play along, and I'm like going, no.
So
If you
you're
listen to
trying
the
to be
song,
Danny Bonaducci.
exactly. The bass line is a complete separate animal from the song, from the regular guitar part of it.
Right.
So you got to disconnect yourself, and it actually just makes you a better player to be able to stop, let your mind think about things, and what you think about goes to your hands. And it was actually a fun experience, and I liked it anyway.
So you didn't use a pick at all?
No, actually, I do use a pick. I'm not. Our former bass player, actually, he was not one for a pick. But there's certain songs that you have to, when you're playing bass, you have to have a pick. I mean, I don't care how great you are. There's some that you just need a pick because of just to make that sound. But there is songs that I have played, and I did play with those guys that I did play with my fingers. If it's just a slow, that if it gets to be a point where there's like a little bit of a rhythm to it or a guitar type motion to it, I will use a pick.
I was wondering why some people do and some people don't.
It's just the way you learn things. I mean, some people will shun a pick for life. Who knows? Anyway,
cool.
Alan, are you a pick guy or are you a finger guy?
I'm absolutely a pick guy.
There you go. So
and I think the reason that I'm a pick guy is because Gene is a pick guy, and that's one of the reasons that I learned to play bass was because I liked a bunch of the songs that Gene played bass on. And every time I ever saw him, he was, except for when they're doing their cheesy videos and he's doing all this,
sure.
But I've tried to just do the finger thing, and it don't work for me.
But see, there again, Geddy is one of my favorite bass players. I don't think I've ever seen him play with a pick. I mean, I honestly, through the videos, I don't think I've ever seen him.
He probably doesn't.
He's a finger picker. So, like I said, whatever works. The thing is, it's mainly what works for you.
Right.
I mean, what you're used to, and that's what it is. So tell us about John Paul Jones. Does he use a pick?
No.
No, he does not. No, he doesn't use a pick.
There you go.
No.
We're going to lead into this. I was trying to help you out.
Yeah. Hey, I just wonder how you play instruments. I have no clue because I can't even play a kazoo.
See, now, just a little background here. Rob's brother, Tony, got all the talent.
He did. He absolutely did. My brother can play any instrument put in front of him. He self-taught as a guitar player at the age of 12, took one lesson, said, "No, I'll go home and listen to some headphones," and taught himself how to play guitar, drums, keyboards, you name it. You put a stick with a string on it, he can make music out of it. That's how he is.
Right.
My son's like that. I have a 15-year-old that
That's awesome.
just picks it up and starts playing. I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
That's good.
I'm over there struggling, looking at my fingers. He's just like, nah, just go. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Anyway, Al, go ahead. Introduce this.
Well, folks, like I said earlier, this is my friend Rockin Rob Bloomer. He's been a friend of mine for, 9 or 10 years, maybe longer.
Maybe longer, probably 10 to 12 years.
Yeah, we met each other in the early days of internet radio.
Yeah.
We've been on at least 3 different internet radio stations together.
Yeah, 3 that I know of.
Yeah. One of them, we won't mention Metal World Radio, cocksuckers, but they hired us to be on their station to be classic rock DJs, but what they considered classic rock was what you and I consider yacht rock. They wanted us to play Roberta Flack and Leo Sayer and stuff like that, I was like, call it a contemporary station, or call it whatever you want, but don't say that this is classic rock.
I had forgot about that, actually. I think I just tried to.
That just popped into my head because I was trying to think.
I
was trying to think of the stations that we'd been on together.
Yeah, you were on iRock 109, which was a fairly successful internet radio station.
the most successful station that we worked with.
Yeah, I would at sometimes have 1,500 listeners tuned in, which is pretty good for internet radio. 1,500 listeners, and they were all over the world, from Australia, New Zealand, a lot of people over in Washington, where they smoke a lot of dope. That they loved my show over there.
I wonder why.
I don't know why. But yeah, I played like the stoner DJ on air, and they ate that shit up. So yeah, it's kind of followed me around. I don't think this new station's going to allow it. They've already kind of pulled the reins in on me. So we'll see what happens
After one show?
after one show.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well,
So do you still do the? I mean, so you
So how
do
does
the
that- yeah.
DJ as far as that's
I just started on a new station, and they're a small potato station. I bet they had their biggest numbers on Saturday when I did their show, because they had like 30 people that know me from radio tuned in. So I probably doubled their numbers. I was looking at their numbers. They had like 15 the day before, so I brought in at least, I think I peaked at 50. So I almost tripled their numbers. But I just have fun.
I don't know how that works. Tell
So
me
I'm
how
gonna
that
ask-
works.
well, I'm gonna be like Bill. I'm gonna be like somebody who doesn't know, because I don't
I'm
know.
not gonna be like
Do
that. I am that.
Do you when you sit through the song and listen to the song like a regular DJ and then talk afterwards, or do you have things already pre-recorded and then after every song something comes in? So you're
No.
like a real DJ then.
As a live DJ on the internet, I also DJ FM up here in Northeast Ohio. I do country. If you can notice, I have a twang.
You got a little bit of a twang.
So I work out well on the country station. So my full-time job is a commercial manager for AutoZone. I throw parts at people. My part-time job's up here at the radio station, and I literally record a show in 15 minutes. 5-hour show. I go in there, hammer it out, get out of there. I do it on my lunch hour. And I've been doing that, about 5 years on the country station. I was on the classic rock station prior to that for about 3 years. So yeah, I've got about 8 years total in FM radio and at least 12 years in internet. So and the whole passion come from my wife. She listened to me online and she goes, I think you got a knack for this stuff. I think you enjoy it. The passion comes across. So she told me about this broadcasting school. You may have heard of it, Ohio Center for Broadcasting. It's just south of Cleveland. So I took that course, and yeah,
Sorry.
I didn't need to take that course, but persistence and me hounding the DJs at the local radio station here is what got my foot in the door. So persistence and a passion and a love for it, you can do it. It's small potatoes. It's small potatoes. It's not Cleveland radio. It's not Erie, PA, which are considered. Erie's probably a medium-sized market, as Cleveland is probably considered the larger market, even though Cleveland doesn't have they don't have the DJs they used to. They got rid of them. Money. Clear Channel got rid of all the people that were making money, shipped them off, and brought in new talent. And that's what Clear Channel does. They're trying to save money. So
now, on a side note, he talks about his wife got him into the broadcast and everything. When I first got on the first station that he and I were on together, he used to do a show with his wife. And you want to talk about someone that is sassy and has a quick wit? She kept him in his place. She kept the listeners in their place.
She did.
And she kept the rest of us DJs in our place, whether we were on the show with them or not. But those two together were extremely funny. They play well off of each other.
Yeah.
And they're way better than Bob and Tom or John Boy and Billy.
There was a chemistry there. There was definitely a chemistry, and we're sitting right beside each other, so it's easier to do it, just like Bob and Tom sitting in the same studio. Mm-hmm. But we took some bits from some other places, and we played a bit that everybody loved. They want me to play it again, but I don't think this new station's going to allow it. But we'd play a segment, "What's Melissa sucking on?" So she would find an object in the room, describe it, have listeners try to guess it, and we would give away prizes on the show, and it was quite fun. Quite fun.
But the funny thing you say, and what I get out of this is the fact of that the real stations, the radio stations that you worked on, you went in and just fucking mailed it in, and the internet stations where you think that would be mailed in, you're actually doing real radio.
Yeah, exactly.
It has actually flip-flopped from when we were kids, saying that, the real radio stations where you could call in and say, hey, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Those guys are not, that doesn't even exist anymore.
No, they're not there. I mean, maybe your afternoon drive in a big market and your morning drive, that mid-morning show, I bet nobody's sitting in that studio. It's all canned and they're not there.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. See, that's crazy.
And
you would think the internet would be completely opposite of that. You think that the internet would be canned, and now people are on the internet trying to bring back what was before. That's really weird. Yeah.
I got out of it like 3.5, 4 years ago because me and Melissa had a unexpected surprise. I've got a 26-year-old, a 24-year-old. She's got a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old, and we go to Vegas for our pre-honeymoon, and we come back and
guess what?
We have a 3-year-old that loves to play the drums. So.
Let's guess what's in her belly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes what happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas.
It doesn't, and
it comes back with you.
You bring it back.
She actually has a onesie, or had a onesie for him that said that on there. It was quite funny. But he's a blessing. But supposed to keep us young, but I don't feel too young right now.
Yeah,
it happens.
Yeah,
if it makes you feel better, my uncle, at age 53, became a father again for the fifth time.
I just shoot myself.
He's like he's gonna be 71 years old when his youngest graduates high school.
But wasn't there another rock star that just had another kid recently?
Yeah, Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger.
No, it was somebody. No, it was somebody else. It was just like
somebody else besides Mick too.
Yeah, but somebody else besides Mick that just had one. I'm like, oh my god,
crazy. And Mick's like what, 105?
79,000.
Yeah, exactly. But
anyway,
that's all.
They're still swimming.
Yeah. Can you really believe it's? I can't believe it's him. That's got to be.
Who's it gonna be?
It's got to be somebody on the side.
Maybe it's Mick's. Maybe it's Mick's grandkid's kid.
Oh, that's messed up.
Wow.
Well, they wanted to make sure that it looked like Mick, so
Going to keep it in the family.
That ain't right, man.
Hey, Mick, would you like to come on our show?
Yeah. No.
Oh,
that's good stuff.
All right, so we are here for a reason, right?
We're here to shoot the shit about Led Zeppelin. And folks, just so you know, we don't have a clue what we're going to talk about. We're just going to talk about Led Zeppelin and see what happens.
That sounds good to me. I want to start with a question, and this is probably should have saved it for the end, but I want to find your opinion right now. All right. We all know that the greatest drummer of all time passed away back in 1980, many moons ago, John Bonham, Bonzo. Okay, let's just say none of that happened. Is Led Zeppelin still together today? Are they still touring like the Rolling Stones? Are they still making albums? I don't think they're making albums. They might be doing some gigs, but I don't know.
No, and I'll tell you one reason. I'll be the first one to say it. I went through today just kind of because I'm not a huge Led Zeppelin fan. My wife is. I had a band in high school that our guitar player was like, he was everything Jimmy Page's God and all this bullshit. And I went through that bullshit. I appreciate Led Zeppelin for the things that they've done, but I went through today, was looking through their albums, and once it got to the end of Led Zeppelin, no, I don't think so, because once you go past Physical Graffiti, I don't think that there was anything that it gets weird. There were some hit songs. Don't get me wrong, there were some hit songs, but their last albums, no. I honestly, think that it would have happened like it did. I think that they would have probably been, if Bono wouldn't have passed away, it would have probably been, who knows what kind of split up they would have had. But Robert Plant would have went on his own and had his 80s career like he did. Because honestly, I like Robert Plant's 80s stuff almost better than I do it fit for its time. You know what I'm saying? And not saying that it was great or whatever. I wasn't, but I do. No, don't get me wrong. I like Led Zeppelin. I just think that they would have run their path. And I think that looking at their last albums after Physical Graffiti, that they were on a downswing. But the thing was, they had been going since 70. I mean, or 68, whatever.
Yeah,
Give me the right year.
How many bands do the ebb and the flow thing, though? They might have come down, split up for a while, got back together, or maybe not even split up, just go and do solo projects.
And it may have happened, but I don't know. But there again, once he passed, what would they have done? I don't know. I think they would have probably split because, like I said, their last few albums were not hits. And Coda was Coda put out after? Was Coda put out after?
It was put out after he died. Yeah.
After he died, and there again, it wasn't a huge album. So there again, and then Plant went off and did his thing. I don't think. I don't think now they would be. I think they would be more of a presence singularly as far as as an artist, and maybe every once in a while get together and say, okay, we're going to do like a Led Zeppelin this year, Led Zeppelin, Bloom, and we're going to run a thing. But other than that, no.
That's a good answer.
But anyway,
and I agree with you. I do.
Go ahead. Go ahead, guys.
Sorry.
No, I mean that's just fine.
Hey, Bill,
I think it's a very legitimate question, and we've had that discussion before about other folks, but I just I think it appeared to me as though maybe some of the Jimmy Page and Robert Plant stuff, I don't know about a riff, but just different moving in different musical styles was starting to come out in those last couple of albums. It just didn't, like you said, they didn't seem to as tight. They weren't. It didn't have that fluid kind of stuff like some of the other earlier things did. And I think that's probably was the beginning. And it just happened. I'm not sure. It's kind of interesting that his passing had such a big effect on that band to make them be, I don't know what the right word is, not functional, but it just changed that band. And that's not typical when a drummer leaves a band. I mean, it just isn't. I mean, look, we've talked about this for a long time. You can, what band members can you replace that people don't notice?
Yeah. There's
a lot of them. And it's just kind of weird that his passing really took that band to a different level. And I don't mean a different level as in up. I mean, it just took them to a level of, we're done. And that's bizarre that it really had that effect. That's my thoughts about it anyway.
What if maybe, the last few albums you guys said yourselves you didn't feel that they were that good of albums. Maybe the band was getting ready to call it quits for a while anyway, and that was just the catalyst that,
See, that was my
for
my
lack
thought.
of a better term, maybe that was the final nail in the coffin.
No, I think you're right, Alan, because I was thinking the same thing as far as maybe they knew that was at the point, and then they kept putting out these albums, and then like Presence was, honestly, it was just a terrible album. I mean,
was it contractual? Was it contractual?
There
probably
maybe
was.
And but there again, where that was the out. The out was.
But there again,
the contract was with those guys,
but once Bonham passed, and it's like going, you know what? The last few haven't went. I mean, that last. I'm trying to go. Because like I said, I'm not a big fan like our guest is
Robert.
Tonight. Robert, I'm sorry.
Roberto.
But in Through the Outdoor did have In the Evening, Fool in the Rain, which I like, and All of My Love. That was actually a good. I mean, that had some songs on there. You've got 3 out of, Fool in the Rain's not too bad, but it's I don't know. There again, though, whenever he passed, maybe they thought at that point, it's like, you know what, this might be just a good time to do this. And then Coda was put out just based because of they were already pre-recorded, weren't they, Robert?
Yes, they were.
I mean, it's a way to cash in, basically. You know,
they were pre-recorded, and it probably was a contractual thing with who was there? Was it Giffen? Was there? I think
they were Electra. Was it Electra?
Oh, it might have been. But nonetheless, I think they all seen Bonham's demise happening before them. I think his drinking had really gotten out of control. He had actually passed out a couple of times at the drum kit in concert. So I think they wanted to get him help, but I think he was beyond help at that point.
Yeah, they were on Swan Song Records.
Swan Song, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. But yeah. No, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Led Zeppelin. It's one of those bands that it took me actually. Once I got married and my wife, we bought that box set that came out and started listening to them. There's one of those ones when when you're in your teens, it's like, fuck, I don't give a shit about Led Zeppelin, blah blah blah. But there again, when you're 30, 40, you start listening to this stuff. Then you start realizing, like I say, I'm not giving any credit away from Led Zeppelin. They just weren't a big band on my radar as a kid.
Yeah.
But there again, I do like, and it was like though I just can't sit there and go, okay, I can just listen to a whole album and just love every song off of it. There are songs I like, songs I don't like. Unlike a band that I would really follow, I would like going, oh man, that album's great. Every song's great. It just doesn't happen with Led Zeppelin. But not saying that that's
my thing was that just my attention span is about 4 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And unfortunately,
so as soon as
they didn't make a lot of 4-minute songs. I mean,
as soon as Stairway to Heaven starts, you're like going, I'm out of here.
Like, first notes, I'm like, okay, you got about 4 minutes in, and then I'm changing it. But I mean. But actually, I say that, but
the earlier stuff wasn't like that, though. I mean,
no, it was. But it's just very interesting because my favorite Led Zeppelin song is "Fool in the Rain," which is 6 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I like that song because that song to me, and I think Led Zeppelin did this quite a bit, was the song had distinctly different parts of the song.
Yeah.
They were. And it all kind of circled back. It made sense, which that's difficult to do. But I don't know. That's really but other than that, I mean, that song's the longest song that I like. The rest of them are the shorter songs because I'm just not.
Well, see, for me, Kashmir is my favorite.
Yeah.
Because of the haunting sound of it. I mean, it's not a rock band sound. I mean, it is completely, when you got all the strings included into it, it's not a rock song per se, but it is a hell of a rock song,
Yeah.
Robert, what is your favorite Zeppelin song?
That would be it, Kashmir. I mean, it's just it builds up, and it's a haunting type of song. Yeah, you just can't describe it. You'll never hear another song. You'll never hear another song like that. But back to what y'all were talking about, I was kind of a late bloomer, pardon the pun, because my last name Bloomer. I didn't really get into Led Zeppelin until my mid-20s, 25, 26. I was going through a divorce from my first wife. I had 2 daughters, and I was sitting in a house emptied. She emptied the whole house out. So I get this box set of Led Zeppelin. I sit there and listen to the entire thing over and over and over again. My brother is a musician. I heard him playing Deep Purple in the basement, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Leonard Skinner, you name it, whatever his cover band was doing, they were playing it. And I grew up actually running the sound for his bands later on in life when I got out of high school. But that's when, I didn't know much about Led Zeppelin when I was in my teens. I didn't. I went to a Christian school. It was forbidden that we listen to rock music. It's devil
Been there.
music.
Been there.
Unless it's Striper.
Unless it's Striper. You're right. Exactly. They love that Striper. Oh, you can listen to that. Okay. But
Knights in Satan's service.
Yeah. But once I listened to that box set over and over again, I really got it. I really said these guys have got to be some of the best musicians that I've ever heard. And, you know, there were the Eagles out there. I mean, all bands are unique, but in my opinion, I think Led Zeppelin is the greatest rock band of all time. And I've seen the Eagles, great live shows, great albums all the way through, great musicians, writers, everything. And I'm not going to say that Led Zeppelin had the best musicians because they did not. And we can go, who's the best musician in that band? Let's go to that route right now. Let's change it up. In your opinion, who was the best musician in Led Zeppelin?
John Paul Jones.
Robert Plant.
Robert Plant with his vocals.
With his voice, with his vocals. I mean, it is. I'm not let's say, Jimmy Page, to me, as being a guitar player and somebody who has been a guitar player all of his life, he's never been an inspiration to me. I don't find anything that's inspirational in his playing. He's good, don't get me wrong.
He's sloppy.
But there again, Ace Frehley is sloppy, and he's a great guitar player, and so is Jimmy Page. But there again, I don't find him inspirational. John Bonham is a sloppy, again, drum player, or a percussionist, if you want to put it into.
Yeah.
But no, Robert Plant, we
normally just call them drummers.
Yeah, you went way. It's Led Zeppelin, dude. What are you talking about?
But no, to me, it was all. I mean, Robert Plant, and I don't know how he was on the right, because like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Led Zeppelin. I don't know what his writing creds on those songs are, but I'm sure they're fairly high. I mean, I don't know. I know that they've stole a few things.
I was going to say it's the old blues guys that should get the writing credit.
They got accused of stealing.
How many? Stuff. I mean, they didn't have internet back then to get the blues things, but
yeah.
But anyway,
well, I'm with Alan though. Go ahead, Bill. Sorry.
I was going to say Jimmy Page, and I say that because I think, you know, I'm not sure at the time because I was, you know, not listening to it at the time, and I listened to it later. But when you think, I mean, when I think about how many people will sit there and say that they play guitar because of Jimmy Page that are playing now, that are, you know, the Ace Frehleys of the world and those guys. I mean, that's a musicianship thing. That's a is he really technical? I don't think so, but I think that sloppiness is what is so unique that when you hear a Led Zeppelin album, you know it's Led Zeppelin. When you hear Ace Frehley play, you know it's Ace Frehley because you know they're going to be bends and it's going to be sloppy, and that's just how it is. And you don't get that with some other people. And I
agree with that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, and that's just
it's just there again. It's one, like I said, I got to that point with my bandmates when Eddie Van Halen came in, and they're trying to do him to Jimmy Page. I'm like going, it's apples to oranges.
Well, see, I wouldn't say that's not the same.
You know, it's just completely different.
No, I would totally agree with that.
But is it better or not? No, it's not.
No, it's
just a different. It's a different type of playing. And
I would say that Eddie is much more technical,
right,
in his playing and than Jimmy was. But I think that's what I mean, that's the difference. And it's okay.
Where though was he influential? They were both influential. So there you go.
For different reasons.
For different reasons.
For sure.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I agree. No, I agree.
I'm with Alan, though. I do believe John Paul Jones was the heart and soul of that band, even though they broke up because of John Bonham's death. But the guy played at least, I'm going to think, 7 or 8 different instruments in the band. Phenomenal performer, instrumentalist, and he also he produces music nowadays too for other people, and so he knows his shit. And I think, to me, there was some type of rift between him and Jimmy and Robert. They just always have shunned him, and I don't understand that whatsoever. I don't know what went on behind the scenes or what, but it's not a good vibe between those three.
That was blaringly obvious when Page and Plant got back together in the early 90s.
Of course. Why wouldn't you?
Because the majority of what they did was Zeppelin material. Why would you not invite your old bass player?
Well, that's been the discussion going on now, right? Who wants to get together and go out and do a Led Zeppelin tour, and they all can't agree to go?
Well,
Jimmy
the
Page
thing
says
is,
he'd go. John Paul says he'd go, and Robert Plant's like, well,
you know, Miles knows because Miles actually tried out, and I would love to be. I wish there was a video camera in that.
Oh, there was a video camera. There had to be.
And I would love to see it. I would
There
love
had
to
to
see
be.
Miles Kennedy singing that shit because I'm telling you what, it was probably great. And why they didn't do it is probably something that was some lawyer didn't like.
Oh, it's probably got to do with contracts and money.
That's exactly what it was.
You know,
And
nobody.
that's
I mean,
sad.
it hasn't been. You haven't seen. You know, we had the discussion a couple weeks ago about people fighting over band names. Nobody else has used Led Zeppelin name. Period. It's not been Jimmy Page's Led Zeppelin. It's not been. It's
the closest you get to that is Jason Bonham is touring right now, and it's Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But there again, that's not damaging to them. I mean, they're not going to say nothing.
Well,
that is kind of weird though. I mean, that once that happened, that Bonham quit, that they just said, "Fuck it." I mean, we're done.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, you're the biggest band, one of the biggest bands in the world, and you have a death in the band, and then you're just going to say fuck it.
Yeah.
You're not going to try to even do something.
I think it's because I think they were get out of
fucked
it anyway, and
they were already
they were
fuck it a year before. You know what I'm saying? They were already, we're going to get out of here.
That's kind of like the Beatles. The Beatles were done a year before they made it official.
Yeah,
true.
I think so too.
And actually, you know what? With most bands, if you listen to the last album, it's really, it's probably tells the story.
It's not the best album they ever did.
Not the best album they ever did.
Well, for some bands, the last two albums.
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully not the last three albums that they're going to come out with a third one next year.
This year,
whatever.
Yeah.
God.
Whatever.
Don't punish us anymore, please.
Yes, Rob, I do bash on my boys.
But my question is, why do bands do that? You got Queensryche, and you got Jeff Tate's Queensryche. You got another version of it. Bands back in the day would never have even thought to do that. They either go out and do solo work and do their thing like the guys from the Beatles did, and they all were very successful. I'm a big George Harrison fan. I thought he did some of his best work after the Beatles.
After the Beatles,
right?
Yeah.
Tate, I'm gonna guess with Tate that he basically
he's a douchebag.
He's a dick.
Did he write a lot of the?
I believe so.
The stuff.
He did.
Well, that was one of the problems that they were coming into later on in the Queensryche catalog, was that he was taking control and writing all the material.
Right.
You know, and
I'm saying it happens just like with Pink Floyd. You know, Roger Waters left Pink Floyd and said basically all I want's the wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeff Tate did the same thing with Operation Mindcrime. You can have the fucking name. I just want Operation Mindcrime because he thinks he can. And there again, it's because I think he wrote the whole thing. He had a lot of soul into it, and he said, you know what? If we're gonna break up, this is what I want, and I want to do that. You know, it's a sad thing when our bands break up, and unfortunately,
it happens a lot. It happens a lot.
But back to Led Zeppelin here.
Right.
Yeah. Y'all have top fives of your favorite Led Zeppelin albums? Are y'all that prepared?
If you said top five Led Zeppelin songs,
I can do that.
I can do that.
Albums, not a chance.
I'll do my albums. Y'all do your songs.
All right.
That'll work because I got nothing.
All right, top five albums, and number 5 would be their debut album, Led Zeppelin. They only recorded this in like 36 hours, but they had been touring, I believe, Scandinavia, so they've been playing music. So I guess it wasn't too hard back in the day to just knock it out. And to me, it ends up to be a timeless classic. It's one of my favorites. Number 4, Led Zeppelin 3. That really showed how diverse they started getting. Just throwing in a lot of acoustic stuff. Tangerine. Right. Tangerine's one of my favorite songs. It's a slow one, but for whatever reason, it tugs at my heartstrings. I'm not going to cry right now, but and of course, That's the Way. I love those two off that album. Led Zeppelin 2, number 3 on my list. A lot of blues and folk music infused in this album. Pretty gutsy, and it offered a total unique sound for that time. Paid off as it was their first number one album to hit number 1 in the UK and the US. Physical Graffiti, Cashmere on this album. Enough said on that album. That's number 2, but that album was phenomenal. Cashmere is my favorite song, but that whole album was just packed full of greats.
Right.
And then, of course, Led Zeppelin 4. You can't deny this being number 1. That had 3 of the greatest rock songs ever recorded. I know you heard Stairway to Heaven a million freaking times.
Right.
Black Dog and Rock and Roll.
Mm-hmm. It's stable. It's a stable song. So
yeah. And I can listen to Stairway to Heaven so many times, but if I haven't listened to it in a long time and it comes on the radio, I crank that shit up because it's just the way it builds into it. I mean,
right.
It's just fucking cool. So yeah, here's my top.
All right.
Here's my top.
Top 5. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. All right. I'm gonna put let's see, Physical Graffiti at number 1. I'm gonna go through the last album actually as number 2, In Through the Outdoor. In the Evening, I think All My Love, Fool in the Rain. There's some great songs on that album actually for a last album. So I have to give that to him. I would have to go House of the Holy next as 3. We're going to 5. Yeah, 5 actually. The would be number 4, and then hell, who knows? One of the probably Led Zeppelin 2 as my 5th album.
I liked your number 2.
Yeah,
Ew.
like I said. What's that?
I said ew.
That didn't sound good, didn't it?
In Through the Outdoor actually had 3 really good songs on it. It's just the rest of the album is shit.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
That was probably Robert Plant's best album for writing because he really threw his soul into that one because he lost his son.
Yeah.
And that's when he wrote. It's when he wrote some of his best music. That was like he just outpoured his whole heart into that album. Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff.
Go ahead, guys.
I can do top 5 songs, but I can't do top 5 albums.
All right.
So my number 5 would be The Ocean.
Oh, nice.
Number 4, Fool in the Rain.
Yeah.
Number 3, The Immigrant Song. Number 2, All of My Love. And number 1, Livin' Lovin' Made.
Nice.
There you go.
When I hear Heartbreaker, I stop what I'm doing because I know what's coming.
Yeah, you do.
Don't you hate it when they don't play that
there
song?
is only one station that I've ever heard that does not play that, and that is that WKTG out of Madisonville.
You got to be.
I'm going to have to call them. I'm
They don't
have to
play
call
it?
them up and have words.
No,
with them.
that's happened to me actually
Yeah.
over the years many times, and I really hate that because you're just expectant, and it doesn't happen.
Purple Umbrella. Where's my purple umbrella? Damn it!
I've never heard a station do that ever.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
I
one.
have.
There's a local station around here that does that. Of course, they also don't follow "We Will Rock You" with "We Are the Champions." So,
I've heard that one before. Yeah.
All right, Bill, give it to
All
us.
right, so I gotta go with 5. I gotta go with songs because I can't do albums. It's not possible. And which is a question I'm gonna ask in a minute. So number 5, and I'm probably not saying this right because I don't really know. Is it Dire Maker?
That's right.
Yeah, I like that song. Houses of the Holy. I think that's a cool song. Just different, and I think it's pretty cool. All My Love, because that to me that's the ultimate Led Zeppelin ballad. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy Page sounds incredible in that song. His voice is awesome. Cashmere, because that's how do you can you talk about Led Zeppelin and not say
that song is
on. And then for me, it's Fool in the Rain. I just like that. The Fool in the Rain for me is probably my favorite Led Zeppelin song. So that's number 1 for me. But the question I have for you talking about this is my 15-year-old we've been collecting vinyl, and So we go to every vinyl store you can find. We're always looking through the Led Zeppelin things. We never can figure out which album to buy. Which album should we buy?
All of them. Every one of them. I would buy them all.
Have one Led Zeppelin album.
Physical
Robert,
graffiti.
which album should we buy?
It'd be Physical Graffiti. That's a dual album. It's got what 24 songs on it.
It's a dual album. You can't go wrong with that album.
You can't go wrong with that album. I almost made that number one, but I had to go with the one with the three greatest hits. But yeah, I'd go with Physical Graffiti definitely. Dennis is right. That's a kick-ass album.
It is one you can't deny. Is a good album. So. Yeah. Even though I'm not a great big Led Zeppelin fan, I'm actually agreeing with the Led Zeppelin fan all night. How great is that?
And
that's because you kiss ass.
It's because of the Foo Fighter connection.
Yeah, the Foo Fighter connection.
He showed you some love, and now you just can't get past
I like that. To the actually, John, there you go. We got a Foo Fighter connection with the Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. Oh, Dave Grohl's a huge Led Zeppelin fan. Huge.
Plus the goddamn, I can't think of the name of it. I'm thinking of Angry Crows. It's not the Angry Crows. It's them dirty vultures or whatever it is.
Dirty
vultures.
Yeah.
Them crooked vultures.
Crooked vultures. There you go.
Crooked. Dirty. Crooked. That's all it says.
Yeah, there's John Paul Jones in that. So there you go.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
That's like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon there.
There you go. No.
So what else we have? Are we all Led Zeppelin? We all Led Zeppelined out?
So is
I'm going to listen to them on Spotify tomorrow at work. So by then I will be Led Zeppelined out.
Here's the funny thing though, and this is a trivia thing, and it's not right. Is when you're watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High, they're driving back in that car and they're doing dun 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 dun, and he says something about this is whatever side of whatever side. It's not the right side. He says it's
not
wrong.
The right side.
Yeah,
it's not the right album. He said
it's not the right album. He goes, it's what?
Led Zeppelin 2 or something.
Yeah, he goes, this is like the third. He goes, if you want to get laid, you got to listen to the third side of Led Zeppelin 2. And of course, it's Kashmir. Dun dun dun. Or
I caught that. That's hilarious.
That's on Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. It's a Led Zeppelin faux pas.
It's an Easter egg, what they call it.
It is. Right? It's a faux pas. Anyway.
Cool.
Well, Robert, man, it was great to have you on. It was awesome.
It's fun. I enjoyed this.
I've actually learned
you're
a
in
little
Evansville or you're in Ohio?
I'm in Ohio. Yeah, I'm just west of Cleveland and just east of Erie. I'm right there in the middle.
So how many times have you been to the Hall of Fame?
I knew that was coming.
Oh, you know it.
Been there 3 times. And
my God!
It's always when somebody comes up here. So if Big Al or one of you guys come up here, I'll be going again.
Nope.
Here's what we do: the Rock and Roll
How
Hall of Fame.
many times have you took a nasty dump in their toilet?
They
right
should
on the front door.
They should be just called the Music Hall of Fame. They're not a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
You're right. You're right. I mean,
that's what I say every year when Bill gets that vein in his forehead popping because of the nominees.
And it is. Like I say, if you're going to call a spade a spade. If it's going to be the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, then it should be. Well, we can. We can do whatever.
They got it. Well, yeah, exactly. They got it kind of right this year. They finally got the Electric Light Orchestra in there.
They got some good choices this year.
Tupac,
I would love to do an ELO segment because I'm a big Jeff Lynne fan.
Right.
It's some of my favorite music from them. But Shaka Khan's in the Hall of Fame. What the hell?
Right.
Tupac Shakur's getting in this year.
Is he getting in this year?
Yeah, he got in this year.
He's fucking dead. He's fucking dead. He's a rapper.
You got it. You're mad about the wrong thing, dude.
There's less table space that's going to be taken up. Here's Tupac's.
That's true. Yeah.
They only
But
put him in so they didn't have to sell it, so they didn't have to buy, pay for this ticket to get in.
Yeah.
Cheap ass.
Now I'm not impressed with the whole committee there. They don't get it right, and
I just took advantage because you lived up there. That's why I was just doing.
oh yeah,
I
that's,
knew it was coming. If you weren't going to do it, I was. I was ready.
I was on top of that hard. It's like,
And I've known he lives up there for all of these years, and not once has the thought ever crossed my mind to ask
Really?
him about the Hall of Fame.
what the fuck are you thinking?
Because the
about?
Hall of Fame is nothing to me.
Big Al would rather go to the Football Hall of Fame down in Canton before he would go there.
I would.
He doesn't even like football.
Yeah.
But you
The
would
sports
Al.
guys are sportsing again, y'all.
No,
I would go.
It's
to
been
the
a good
Football
night.
Fame. Sure, I would not go. I'm not going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And it's
I'm
big,
gonna probably go at some point, but I'm just gonna hate it. I'm just gonna hate. I'm gonna write something. I'm gonna make it.
Hey,
serious.
Dennis.
What?
Dennis, send me the $25 it costs to get in, and just hate it anyway.
Oh, it
Yeah.
costs me to get in.
Oh yeah.
I ain't paying to get in the fucking place.
Yes, you are.
If you
don't
want to go
for
in,
free.
you are.
I'll leave a turd there if I have to.
Get a Groupon.
Groupon.
I'll make my own Groupon.
Oh, funny.
All right. Anyway.
It's ridiculous.
All right. Well, I guess we're gonna wrap this episode up unless you got something else to say.
Man, thank you, Robert, for coming on. Though
Thanks, guys. It was fun. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
All right,
No,
folks.
cool.
Hit us
All
up on agesofrock.com and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all of that fun stuff. What is
What is
wrong
he
with
doing?
you, Dennis?
what?
I
Just having fun.
I think Dennis started taking his pain medicines again, y'all.
Oh,
And just
I
for
gotta-
the record, before we
I
get off
gotta-
here, No, don't go yet.
I gotta pee.
Well, we know.
Oh, there's
You
a
always have
big
to pee.
surprise.
Just like I gotta pee.
Dennis sends a text message out today that says, "I won't talk very much again because I'm not really that big of a Led Zeppelin fan." Now, when you listen to this, we had a guest on, and I guarantee you, if you could count the minutes spoken today,
Right.
they're a majority of Mr. Talbot.
But
He's not going to be talking very much.
who did
today.
Robert agree with most, though?
He only talked 27 minutes. I got 5 minutes in.
I gotta pee.
All right, folks. Peace out. We'll catch y'all later. Thanks for listening to the Ages of Rock podcast. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and most importantly, tell all your friends. Remember, you're never too old to rock. Until the next episode, peace out, folks.